If you've driven along Missoula's North Reserve Street corridor, you've probably noticed a growing homeless encampment under the bridge along the Clark Fork River. Our viewers have reached out to us with questions about who's responsible for the property, whether camping there is legal, and concerns about crime, environmental impacts, and public safety at the site. Meanwhile, the coronavirus pandemic brought new challenges for Missoula's homeless population, including mounting unemployment, reduced capacity at shelters, skyrocketing housing costs, and few places to turn for those living on the streets. NBC Montana's Madison donor has been working for you, following the story for 2 years now to uncover the answers to your questions, as well as highlight efforts from neighbors, community organizers, and city and state officials to implement lasting changes. In January 2019, a point-in-time survey found at least 367 people living homeless in Missoula City and County, many camping near the Reserve Street Bridge. Here's a glimpse into their daily lives.
Some people choose to stay down here and choose to stay homeless.
This isn't where Akita wanted to end up.
I have a generator, and they got solar panels, and I got TV. I got everything in there that you have at home.
On the other hand, Melvin Breck calls this place home. He has been here for 3 years now and doesn't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Something that I like. I like the outdoors, and I like living around people, but having my privacy too.
For Akita, this is just a temporary way of life. She has been living here for about 6 months.
I'm working on getting an apartment so I can get my daughter back.
Just 8 months ago, she had her daughter, who she told us is currently in the hands of a private guardian. She says she saves money from her disability check to care for herself, her 2 dogs, and newborn kittens. At 88 years old, Melvin survives off his Social Security check.
This was my lifestyle. I worked for Holiday Inn and all them. I've been a cook and a baker, and for 30-some years.
After going to prison in Idaho for 9 years, he set up camp here along the Clark Fork.
You're out here, you're free. You don't have no problems.
Melvin says he uses the services at the Poverello for showers and laundry. But he said he has pretty much everything he needs right on his camp. Everyone has their own lifestyle here at this encampment, and people come and go. Melvin told us he thinks since he's been here, thousands have came through.
We wanted to find out who owns the land, so we reached out to the city of Missoula. They said it is not city-owned land. We did some research ourselves, and the land is owned by the state. We'll keep working for you to find out what the property owners are going to do about this.
Many of you asked us who owns the land where the homeless encampment sits along Missoula's Clark Fork River. While we track down that answer, finding a solution is a little more difficult.
Garbage, shopping carts, makeshift shelters, and tents. People who live at this encampment call it home. Others call it a nuisance.
6 weeks ago, we went to city leaders to find out if they had any solutions for this homeless encampment here behind me. And now, after talking to MDT, still no firm answer other than we're working on it.
For months, we have been trying to figure out who owns the land.
MDT, we're looking for a safe solution for everyone.
That's why we showed him our NBC Montana Sky Team drone video.
This is the city of Missoula owns this land, but these 2 pieces are, we've been told, is your land. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'd have to look. I'm not familiar. I mean, I know we own far more than the area just under the bridge.
But no one seems to know exactly where the line is drawn, or who is responsible for cleaning up this area.
If somebody leaves something in your yard, is it your responsibility to clean it up? Well, first you want to say, well, no, it shouldn't be my responsibility, but if you own it, ultimately, it may become. But you know, it's again part of that working group trying to figure out what solution will work for the community.
Vosen explains the working group is made up of church groups, community, and government leaders. We're told it's not a quick fix.
What kind of solution do you guys hope to come up with, and how soon do you think you'll see one?
I'm not going to give you any solution because that would undermine the work of the working group. You know, if I come forth with something that's outside of that's not in the spirit of working together.
What they do know is that they are not planning on handing out trespassing tickets anytime soon.
Looking at it from all sides, so we don't want to come in, just be heavy-handed and you know, remove people from the property and then no longer our problem. That's not the attitude that we're taking. We're trying to work with the community and find a true solution rather than just relocating a problem.
Vosen says the goal is to keep drivers and the people staying on taxpayer-owned land safe. This chunk of land is on the river and it's in a floodplain. That creates its own problem.
As of just going in there and putting up a large fence, well, is that really what the community wants? You know, do we want to have a large chain link fence in area, and would it be effective, or would it just be another something that they can cut around?
Vosen says the camp is nothing new, but from the air you can see just how large it is and the challenge it poses.
Neighbors continue to voice concerns about the homeless encampment under Missoula's Reserve Street Bridge. We're digging deeper into what's going on at the site, how officials are collaborating on possible solutions, and what's at stake.
A room full of state, county, and city leaders that says they're all working together to solve a problem we've shown you. People living on taxpayer land along the Clark Fork River in Missoula.
Here's just what we're hearing in the news, and then, you know, they jump right on it.
It's called the Reserve Street Camp Working Group. So far this year, officials say they've found housing for 20 people that lived in this camp. Right now, officials say only 7 or 8 remain in the camp.
We need to think of a long-term use for this property that the public will benefit from.
But people here are worried about other risks, like this fire set under the bridge we showed you about a month ago. The Montana Department of Transportation officials say that fire increased public pressure to solve the problem.
Don't want to build a fence, but to be honest with you, it is we're talking about it, okay? So we have to find a way to reduce that risk.
Right now, no timeline, nothing official. But some work might fit into a scheduled bridge preservation project set for next summer. But there's more at stake here, and emergency responders are worried.
Carrying weapons, they're carrying drugs, and they're a danger to first responders going down there, and it wasn't that way years and years ago.
But this is only the group's second meeting, and people here will tell you it will take a lot more to solve it.
We continue to touch base with the owner of the land the homeless encampment sits on, the Montana Department of Transportation, to see if they have a plan or solution for the property. Here's what they told us 1 year ago.
In June, we started working for you to find out who owns this land. In December, we discovered it was the Montana Department of Transportation. Months later, there is still no plan on what to do about this.
A big community problem that needs to have a community solution. It's not something that any one agency or entity is going to solve.
We were there 4 months ago when city and county officials said they need a solution. One idea, putting up a fence. That's still on the table.
Where are you guys at with a plan and solution for the North Reserve Street camp?
You know, it's the issue at hand is still there. We're still kind of in the same place. We're continuing to have discussions. The meetings aren't really taking place, but you know, we're still trying to have discussions and work towards a plan.
Not only is the camp growing, now officials are faced with COVID-19 affecting meetings and further discussions. In the end, their goal is to keep all parties involved safe.
Officials say their biggest concern is this infrastructure, the Reserve Street Bridge. Their worries stem from the multiple fires that emergency crews have responded to here.
Reserve Street Bridge carries a tremendous amount of traffic. It's a key component of the transportation network in Missoula, and our goal is we need to provide a safe transportation system for all users of that bridge.
Officials say overall it's more than just a Montana Department of Transportation problem. It's a community problem that demands a community solution. But since we last told you 4 months ago, not much has changed.
Last August, calls for action got louder. The Missoula City County Health Department set a November deadline for MDT to clean up the area under the North Reserve Street Bridge. And a local activist urged community leaders to make changes fast.
One Missoulian walks us through the North Reserve Street homeless camp, a place he's been before, but not when it looked like this.
people think they deserve to be out there now. And so you have permanent structures that have been established, and you have what's going to be resistance to change.
Mateer says from 2013 to 2016, he and others consistently removed trash here. He says when they cleaned the area on a regular basis, folks understood permanent structures were not going to be allowed to remain. Although there was still use in the area, it was a lot less than what it is now.
It's unfortunate. There's no perfect solutions, but something needs to change.
Encampment residents want people to know those that have lived here for years are not the ones causing the fires or making the mess.
We get blamed for a lot of things that aren't us. And then there's some bad people down here too, you know. They come and they go. They're the ones that really make the mess. The people that have been down here for years like I have generally try to keep the stuff clean.
Thanks to a camp resident's truck, they loaded up pounds of trash to the dumpster provided by the city, a dumpster we told you about in April, but residents claim they just found out about recently.
People have never come down. I didn't even know there was a dumpster over here. I thought it was a construction dumpster from over there. Nobody told us, oh, there's a dumpster there for you to use. You know, now that we know it's there, we'll use it.
Mateer says the problem goes beyond just trash.
Now, what do you think is the biggest challenge and what we need to focus on?
Help, to a certain point, enables, you know, and so that enabling, I think, is a big challenge. And again, there's no good solutions.
He commends the work outreach teams and volunteers are doing with the limited resources provided, but he says those in power in the community need to make changes.
A growing list of complaints about trash and human waste at the homeless camp prompted a notice of violations from the Missoula City County Health Department. Now, a look at what the health department ordered the landowner to do.
The Missoula City County Health Department states in these documents 15 complaints since April 23rd of trash, human waste, and debris on property owned by Montana Department of Transportation. The notice orders MDT to take action.
Can you tell me why suddenly the health department decided to give them that citation?
Right. Well, this year was so much worse than any other year.
Leahy says it has a lot to do with the pandemic. Community groups were unable to do a big cleanup like they do annually, and Montana's largest homeless shelter, the Poverello Center, having to cut back their capacity, leaving people to reside here.
Increased the trash and the human waste situation kind of over the top this year.
According to health officials, MDT is complying. Right now, the health department is reviewing their potential long-term solution, a fence.
With all the moving parts in place, we still aren't sure where the fence will be located. We're not sure what the design of the fence will look like, and we're not sure when fence construction will start.
Now, when it comes to the cleanup, it could cost taxpayers thousands, like it did in 2015. Vosen tells us outreach groups and volunteers are working on cleaning the camp of garbage and waste. After they do what they can before the deadline of November 2nd, MDT says then they'll contract someone else to clean whatever is left.
Now, what happens if people are still living there by the cleanup deadline?
We'll be navigating that cleanup amongst an active camp with ongoing issues. So that's one of the challenges that we're facing.
Health officials say even if a long-term solution isn't completed by the cleanup deadline, the garbage, human waste, and debris will still need to be cleared out.
With just days left to meet a cleanup order from the county, we checked in again with MDT to find out what progress has been made.
We showed you this notice from Missoula City County Health Department to MDT in July. It orders them to clear all solid waste from the property. The deadline, November 2nd.
Been able to work with our partners and been able to meet the requirements set forth in the documents.
We're told outreach groups and volunteers place garbage cans for residents to regularly throw out their trash. Every Saturday, they come and haul it out.
Vosen tells us their biggest challenge right now is COVID-19. According to these CDC guidelines, it states that anyone living unsheltered or in an encampment should remain there. Dispersing them may cause a spread of the disease into the community.
With that guidance in place, that really changed a lot of things, how everybody was approaching this. It's been an unusual year.
Officials say the big cleanup is done and now the focus is on maintaining it. As for who's footing the bill, Will, you know, taxpayers be paying for this, or?
So I don't know where all the money's coming from, but I can tell you that MDT has expended no money towards the effort. I don't know where the other budget is. I know a lot of the work being done is being done by volunteer organizations.
But as for a long-term solution,
Expecting a large number of the folks there will be moving to the shelter location. And then I believe there's some other agencies that are working more towards a long-term solution.
Vosen tells us they are trying to find a way to put a new dumpster in the area in hopes that will keep the trash manageable from here on out.
Open for business, a new effort aimed at sheltering Missoula's homeless population. Last December, outreach groups organized a temporary tent camp on the south side of town. Close to 20 residents were expected to move in the first week. It's unclear how the new site will impact the homeless encampment off North Reserve Street, but officials hope many residents will choose to move to the new space.
These tents are expected to be full in the coming weeks, and the Montana Department of Transportation is hoping it will help clear their land just off Reserve Street.
That it's a good thing that we can try to protect the infrastructure without having to be overly harmful to the people that are experiencing homelessness.
Vosen is hopeful that organizers can get the majority of people living here across the river transitioned to the new temporary safe outdoor space.
It's a safer location for everybody, safer for us because it's not going to have the potential to lead to endangering the infrastructure that we have. It's safer for first responders and emergency folks.
The bridge is his biggest concern. Last week, fire crews reported to a structure on fire under the bridge, just one of a handful of fires this year.
I'm trying to coordinate what law enforcement could look like to help us make sure that at the very least we don't have the camps taking place actually under the structure itself. That is concerning.
Vosen says MDT is not involved with the temporary shelter, but he's glad people will be taking advantage of it.
From my side, it's great to see that we've got something where maybe we can have a better location to offer to people and try to improve safety for everybody, all the users of the system, but also those folks that are experiencing homelessness in the area.
Now, MDT is working on plans on what to do if all residents leave. Since the move is voluntarily, they aren't sure if or when it will be cleared out.
We're back at the camp off North Reserve Street, where neighbors and community organizers are spearheading yet another cleanup effort.
Community residents continue their efforts to get rid of the trash in this area. From abandoned camps to camps left burned, volunteers are picking up what's left behind. But one nearby homeowner says this is just part of it.
It's just extremely frustrating for what we're running into.
9 months ago, Tender Rich and his wife bought their home, and since then, nothing but issues. Tender Rich tells us he told Missoula officials, but claims it led nowhere. In 2019, we uncovered that the Montana Department of Transportation owns the land, and since have asked time and time again, what's the plan for it? And recently when we asked, we were told there is no change in status.
Trash like the piles you see here behind me, filled with clothes, boxes, and empty food containers, aren't the only concerns and problems that neighbors in this area are dealing with.
I'm sick of needles and/or drug paraphernalia across from my house, and I'm sick of people moving in. Last week we saw people with propane canisters unloading them to take them down to put heat into their little shacks.
Not too far from his home, we found a syringe and multiple caps for others. Another property owner that didn't want to go on camera tells us his property was set on fire by a camp resident, and the problems here have only gotten worse.
We in this city pay a lot of money in our property taxes and taxes in general to have it policed correctly.
Cleanup organizers tell us they'll continue their efforts towards a solution.
And an update on the temporary safe outdoor space on Missoula's south side. Organizers now hope to make it permanent. Officials held a meeting to gauge public opinion.
Officials tell us they have a lease for this land until November. Before deciding to extend it, organizers wanted to give you the chance to express your concerns. Businesses and local property owners sounded off on how organizers aren't helping them deal with what they say the camp is attracting.
People are also begging in my neighborhood. They are passed out in my front yard.
But officials say it's a different problem.
That is outside of the TSOS. And what we're talking about today is the TSOS. And though these are related, they're not the same things.
Other community members thanked organizers for their work and support extending the space. So far, we're told workers found 7 people permanent housing and 4 others are waiting.
And I can see my clients every single day whenever I need to and make sure that not only are they okay, but they're getting where they need to be.
Temporary shelter residents explained what the space has done for them.
This place, I was able to find a good job, and things are looking up. They give me a helping hand with things I need in the community.
And I know this program here is like a godsend for me and my wife. I've lost my kids because of all this. I'm now getting my kids back as soon as we get a house. I would have never been able to get a house fast and been able to work and utilize all these programs.
Right now, Missoula County wants to continue funding the TSOS through the American Rescue Plan Act. Reporting in Missoula, I'm Madison Donor, NBC Montana.
Organizers are looking at other funding options besides the American Rescue Plan Act. Emergency support grants from the Human Resource Council and private donations picked up some of the tab. Both the United Way and Hope Rescue Mission are also looking for donations. NBC Montana will continue watching developments at both sites. Follow us on Facebook and NBCMontana.com for the latest updates.